From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey, everybody. I'm Rob Cairns. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief creator of amazing ideas at Stunning Digital Marketing. In today's podcast, Ryan Waterbury and I talk in our monthly segment about things to prepare for the holidays in 2024. You don't want to miss this episode, so grab a drink, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This podcast is sponsored by Stunning Digital Marketing, the agency that can help protect your WordPress website today. Go to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and see what we can do to help you protect your business investment. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here, and today I'm here with my monthly co-host, Mr. Ryan Waterbury. How are you, Ryan?
Pretty good today. It's a little bit warmer. We're getting rid of that cold Canadian air, so things are on the upswing.
I would argue if you listen to the meteorologist, that air came from Colorado, so I can't even blame Minnesota anymore. So it was freezing the last 2 days at the time of this record, and today's much nicer, like a spring fall day. So, like, what can you say, right? So anyway, today I thought we'd dive into business preparation for the new year. We're into 2024. We're talking about business. There's a lot of things business owners should do to get ready for next year. What do you think?
Absolutely. And I had my entire December laid out and scheduled with implementing, I won't say new processes, but improvements on processes and looking at planning for projects throughout the year. And lo and behold, I filled up with client work.
Yeah, it's always the way, isn't it? I mean, I had mine planned to play catch up for the new year, and guess what? There's client work in the middle of it, and got to pay the bills, so we don't have much of a choice around. I think one of the biggest things business owners don't do going into 2024 is they need to set some short-term and some long-term goals, and these goals have to be obtainable and measurable. What do you think about goals?
I love and hate goals, simply for the fact that things can shift so dramatically in a hurry. I mean, we saw the past few years how things weren't very stable. I nearly lost my business in 2020 and had to make some quick shifts. So I have a very different feeling on goal setting, and I'm glad you brought up the short versus long-term goals, for the fact that I'm planning instead of 12 months out in quarter chunks. So I'm looking at the next 3 months, and sure, my long-term goals, I have some things that I want to achieve for the year as kind of a benchmark, but I haven't put any firm plans on how to reach that. I am looking at one quarter at a time and keeping myself and my clients happy while I'm doing it.
Yeah, I kind of go a little bit different. What I do is I assign a pile of short-term goals which lead to a long-term goal. And the reason I do it that way is then the short-term goals become a little more measurable, and it's easier to see the end of the tunnel than if you have like a one-year goal. I'm almost better off even in monthly goals, short-term goals. And I kind of work it that way and say, this is where I want to go. These will achieve to the bigger goal. And then you can see the road at the end of the tunnel just a little better. For me, that works, but it doesn't work for everybody. So,
no, I'm definitely. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to move on from that and actually say both of us are working on implementing new ticketing systems for clients
Mhm.
going into 2024. My whole philosophy is it's got to be done and it's going to happen, and that's the end of it. like, you know,
I I read something a while ago, a number of years ago. What you allow to happen will continue to happen,
Mhm.
and let's apply that to support requests. I have over the past few years gotten requests via Facebook Messenger, text, calls, emails to my personal email,
Yep.
uh, all over the place. And and it takes time and training for a lot of people. What I've really prided myself on and branded my agency is that one-to-one connection. And I've closed a lot of business over the last year because I'm a smaller agency in comparison to larger agencies, and that the clients actually appreciated that personal touch and attention. But when we come to support, I have about 300 people that can possibly report tickets throughout the month. And if you don't have a system to manage that, it rarely happens, and I don't think I've ever had all several hundred report tickets at the same time. But when you get a couple dozen and they report from all different methods, you need a system to track that. And the more training that you can do to funnel or corral your clients into using the system, the easier it is to take care of their needs.
Yep.
And a lot of times they don't realize that you're managing not only their tickets but other support tickets. And if they don't use the system, sometimes things get lost and then nothing gets taken care of. So that's
Yep.
one of my short-term goals, is to improve the support system that I'm on. I was using another system that took care of common inbox, markup directly on the site, but unfortunately, it was not a platform that was stable enough for me. So I've looked at some options, and that was kind of my month goal, was to implement that, and also uh, change my booking so that I can train clients that, hey, if you really want to sit down and talk about something, you need to book some time. You
Yep.
can't call me in the middle of the afternoon when I blocked out to work on other client work. Granted, if your site's down, on fire, I will take that call 24/7, 365. Most of the time, though, that's not the case with these support requests.
Yep. It's true. Training your clients and kind of sticking to them and retraining is part of the problem. I think we're all guilty of it, of saying in our agencies, we'll just do it for you this one time. And then one time becomes two times, and two times becomes four, and four becomes eight. And before you know it, we're doing it all the time. And I think that's part of the issue there. The other thing, it's interesting, even business wise, I've looked at one of the things I've done is I'm in the process of installing a VoIP line, so I'm taking all my business traffic off my cell phone. Yay. I'm actually going to take my voicemail and say, if this is a business call, please call this number. And I'm about to make that change very soon. The only thing I'm waiting on is, interesting enough, the carrier accidentally handed me a number that's marked as spam. So every time I dial from my new business number, which I'm not going to share yet, it gets marked as spam. It says likely a spam caller. So they're working with their telephone number keeper to resolve that issue right now, and then that should be done the next day. That's just logistics. That, and I'm also in the process of revamping both my newsletter and my podcast dates a little bit. So you say, why are you doing that? Going in the new year, I want a more stringent. My newsletter's kind of been all over the place the last month just because of work constraints and client constraints and all of that stuff, and we all have that problem. So I need to rework the dates that I spend with that. So I'm in the process of doing that. And then also in the process of building some Notion templates right now to make things easier. So when I get this type of a task, I can just drop it in and be done, copy the template and be done with it. So I'm doing some of that. little hint, the podcast show notes and notes for the shows is moving to Notion in the new year. So that's one of the things I'm working on, and just trying to streamline some processes and look at where the bottlenecks are and fix it, because now's as good a time as any.
Exactly. And the trouble is finding that downtime, and that's been a good thing. And surprisingly, I've been just outright surprised with some of the consumer confidence coming back. And we talk with our small mastermind group that not everyone's doing great out there. And then I talk with our group, and I think we're all finding success and
Yeah.
finding new clients and businesses. I won't say booming, but rebounding back. And I have to credit that to the relationships that I built, and also I'm not sweating it when that stuff comes in, because we're talking about systems. I've got fairly good systems in place to handle things as they come in. It's
Yeah.
that improvement and finding that time to work on your own business. And that's one of the things that I wanted to step into next is uh, scheduling time to work on your own business. And I have two blocks, a Monday and a Friday, both afternoons, where I have that blocked off to work on things like bookkeeping, other admin tasks. And when you start a business, you do it because you're passionate about it. And then you find out there's all these other things that you have to do that aren't really the fun part. They have nothing to do with your business, but you need to take care of them, like billing, invoicing, those little admin tasks, R&D, implementing, like a new ticket system. That
Mhm.
takes time. And, when we talk about goals, sometimes we hear I have these financial goals or, marketing goals. And what's not included in that is planning the infrastructure and the system time behind it to be able to handle those things once the rubber hits the road.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, one of the big problems I see with small business owners I work with is they don't put any time in their budget, in their time budget, to do things like their own marketing and things like that. And I always say, take a couple of days, block a couple of hours, put it right in your calendar, and be done with it, because
Mhm.
you have to spend time on your own business, even if business is thriving. That's actually the best time to spend time on your business. And people wait and say, oh, I'll wait till I have nothing to do. But then it's the old feast or famine cycle. And that's what creates that. You haven't put anything out there in the queue. You can't keep running that way to be successful. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned that small businesses need to block time for marketing. I don't think about it like that because, well, that's, our business is marketing.
Mhm.
And so for you and that's not really, I don't think about that as work. That's just, things that we need to do that we're comfortable with. But for other
Yep.
small business owners, I am just finishing up an ad campaign for a contractor that I rebuilt their website. They started getting traffic, and now they're coming into their down season, the winter season. And where we had a conversation about his goals before we started the web project, and I knew this was coming up, but he's been proactive to take the time that said, I don't have time to do this. We've got work now. I need somebody else to help me with the marketing. And that's one way to look at it. Either book some time for yourself to do it when you're starting out, and when you grow to a point where you can't fit it in, that's when you reach out to other partners to work with. But
No, I
th-
agree.
that first step is the realization that you need to do it.
Yep. And I think, and by the way, that includes for small businesses, including a marketing budget in their budget, because they don't look at things like a website as a marketing tool or an email list as a marketing tool. And it really is. And we got to we got to get back to that. Like, we just need to be there. So, and the other thing is, even looking at things like launch dates for projects, like January 1st is a really bad day to launch stuff. I would be doing it like later in the month or February. Like, just because the New Year's there doesn't mean you have to launch on the first of the year. I think that's actually really a bad move in the long run, personally.
This entire and I'll say it's more than the month. Once we, I mean, you and I both know that if you're not starting your Black Friday and marketing campaigns in September, or
Yep.
even web rebuild thoughts, forget it. It's not going to happen by the end of the year. I don't
Yep.
I don't care how efficient you are, unless it's a one-page brochure site.
Mhm.
Uh, there are too many things that go on. Holidays, family gatherings, office gatherings. On top of the regular scheduled days off. Between Thanksgiving, that's the start in the U.S., all the way through that January 2nd, basically. The day after New Year's Day. There's not a lot of work that gets done efficiently between that time frame.
It's true. It's really true. And the other thing we got to look at too is what most business owners know is, and we know, is budgets for a lot of companies flip in the new year. Like, they flip
Mhm.
January 1. And most companies by now know what their budget's going to be next year. I would say there's very few that don't have a clue. So, like, let's start budgeting for stuff now and not waiting.
Exactly. I worked in printing for a lot of years, so this was the scramble at the end of the year with a lot of companies to use up their marketing budget, so it got approved again for next year.
Yep.
These last 2 months. So that's why I'm harping on a little bit, about the mad dash to do things before the end of the year.
Yep. And all.
Sometimes you can be creative with clients and pre-bill, and you schedule the work in January, but when you work with clients that have a marketing department and budget, bill it in this calendar year.
Mm,
And so uh, I start thinking far outside the box when we get to this time of year on how can we get things done, and how can everyone remain happy. But
yeah. And the other key thing is, this time of year is busy enough, is not to overschedule yourself. Make sure you take some time. I would argue this is the time of year where you really want to watch what you eat properly, you sleep properly, you get your exercise in. Don't just stop it because you're swamped. Keep your regular routines in and kind of work things around it. And if it fits, it fits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Because where most people get into trouble is they get all caught in the rustle and bustle of October, November, December, and then they hit December and the day after Christmas, and they feel like crap. And I wonder why. Right? You got to look after yourself too.
exactly, it's the pie, cookie, and candy season.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, um, but back to goals going into the next year. This month is typically where I like to not schedule any work, sit down, do my goal planning,
Hmm.
and look at what I'm going to do for the year. And I try and do work for myself
Yeah.
in this, the oddball holiday time frame. Sometimes it happens. This year it's not. Last year it didn't as much. But you know, eh, building those systems and improving on them, uh, those are my goals for the next year.
No, I would agree with you. Hey, Ryan, really enjoyed the conversation. A bit of a short one today, but I think it's an
Mhm.
important topic we needed to put out there. Somebody wants to chat with you about web design goals, business. How's the best way?
Any major social media out there at One Dog Solutions, you can visit my website at onedog.solutions, or email me at ryan.waterbury at onedog.solutions.
And make sure you say hello to his two office managers. I think one of them just rolled their heads in the middle of the podcast. But have,
Exactly.
have a great day, Ryan. Thanks for everything. Bye for now.
Yeah, you too.
This show is brought to you by StunningDigitalMarketing.com, your Toronto leader in digital marketing services. Not only do we protect your WordPress website, we can help you with your site, provide social media management for your business, or even do one-on-one consulting. To find out more, go to StunningDigitalMarketing.com. A very special thank you to Ryan Waterbury for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. Hey everybody, Rob here again. Thanks for listening to the SDM Show. It's such a pleasure to have you every week. If you want more on our agency website, go to StunningDigitalMarketing.com. We are your WordPress security experts. We'd be glad to help you out. If you want to learn more about me, Rob Cairns, go to meetrobcairns.online. From there, you can find links to everything I do on the web, as well as book time with me. So feel free. If you want to make comments about this podcast or know a guest possibly suitable for the podcast, please email us at podcast@stunningdigitalmarketing.com, or conversely, you can go to X, formerly known as Twitter, and tweet at me at Rob Cairns. This podcast is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much, and I love you. Please join us next week for another interesting podcast, and have a great week, everybody. Bye for now.